So as you guys know, because I covered it, Joe Rogan had gotten into a lot of controversy over a recent comment that he made on his podcast when he was talking to, I believe it was Eric Weinstein, where he basically said that he would vote for Trump before he votes for Biden. He did not say that he was going to vote for Trump. There's no chance in the world Joe Rogan is actually going to cast a ballot for Donald Trump. What he was saying is he would vote for him before he votes for Trump because Joe Biden so clearly is in pretty deep throes of dementia, as we can see. Literally just yesterday, there was another clip of him on, I think it was MSNBC, where he just can't seem to talk. He forgot the year of the Spanish flu pandemic, which happened in 1918. He said 16 around 17. It's like, what on earth are you saying, bro? It doesn't make any sense. So Joe Rogan clarified his stance on this, and he makes some pretty interesting points. Go ahead and check this out.
As I said that I wouldn't vote for Biden, that I said I would vote for Trump over Biden. All these people went crazy. But let me be clear. You know what? I'd also vote for Whoopi Goldberg over Joe Biden. I'd vote for Mike Tyson over Joe Biden. I just don't think it's a good idea to take someone who's struggling with dementia and put him in one of the most stressful positions the world has ever known. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's not an endorsement of Trump. It is me saying you shouldn't have a man who's clearly in the throes of dementia. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but when you can't form sentences in public and you forget what you're talking about and you wander off into these conversations, if you're not smoking pot, you're not high, if you're not on pills, like what's going on? Well, there's cognitive decline. He's an older man that has mental issues. And, you know, not to be cruel to him, he's suffering medically. This is a real issue. And the Democrats want to sweep that under the rug. And Trump is already chewing him apart. He's already dismissing him. I mean, there is a recent thing that Kyle Kalinske posted a video on his Twitter talking about this is what happens when you don't discuss the elephant in the room. And it's Trump saying, he used to doing a press conference, and they asked him a question about something that Biden wrote. He goes, Biden didn't write that. He's like, that's a Democratic operative. He didn't read it. He probably doesn't even know what's going on right now. And he's gonna continue to do that. And it's such a vulnerable point. And I don't know why the Democrats thought it would be a good idea to take someone who's clearly got a problem. I mean, I don't want to be mean to the guy, but we've all seen it. That's not normal. It's not normal to forget, like when he's talking about the creator, and he literally loses what he's saying. He's like, the thing. Like
misquoted the Declaration of Independence twice now. It's a very simple document. Like, I don't understand.
Well, there's a bunch of those things. Like when he was talking about the cure and losing what he's saying, that you have to take care of the cure, and he's struggling. The guy's struggling. Yeah. He's tired. This is an extremely stressful process to run for president. And the idea that he's going to be able to get through this and be okay on the other side to run the country for 4, potentially 8 years is crazy.
Yeah. And on from a policy perspective, if we're looking at the coronavirus in particular and the handling of it, this is obviously the subject of hot debate. There's plenty of and Trump was ripped apart for that. Biden ripped him apart for that. Biden continued to rip him apart for that up until a couple of weeks ago. So these decisions saved countless lives. And it's pretty obvious that Biden, I mean, he said it, so of course it's obvious that he would have made a different decision. And we would be in a much different place right now. And to put aside all of the issues that you pointed out, those are certainly issues, and I don't need to repeat them. I don't need to go into it, but it's
I feel like we do need to repeat them. It is obvious, but that's crazy that this is the guy that's running for president. And then when people got upset at saying that, me saying that I'd probably vote for Trump before I'd vote for Biden. I'm literally saying I'd vote for anybody that can talk. I mean, anyone who's not in severe cognitive decline. I mean, pick a person. Shit, I'd vote for Hillary before I'd vote for him. Literally. I mean, I just think the poor guy shouldn't be in the position he's in. I don't understand why they're doing that. I mean, anyone else could have been Tulsi Gabbard, Amy Klobuchar, Pete Buttigieg. Pick a person. They all would have been a better choice. I mean, this is crazy. And I don't know what their strategy is. I don't know why they decided to do this. It makes no sense to me. It's very, very confusing.
Now, there's quite a bit to be said there. Now, the biggest thing that I want to say, it's sort of overarching, is I think Joe Rogan kind of represents the average voter or the swing voter, but more of an average person. When he's basically explaining, like, why did you guys pick a guy with literal dementia? It's a really good question. You're talking about the most powerful position in the world, and you're picking a guy with a severe cognitive impairment in which the, brain cells have essentially just diminished over time. By the way, it's not just like diminishing on its own. The guy's literally had aneurysms before. He had an aneurysm. It was either a single or double aneurysm back in 1988 where brain vessels in the brain explode. His doctor told him he had 30 to 50% chance of returning to normal. That was in 1988. We're now in 2020, so that was 32 years ago he had aneurysms. So it's just, general decline of the brain, essentially, is what's going on. And so he's basically asking the question, why on earth would you choose this guy, Democrats? And unfortunately, I've come to the conclusion that the Democratic electorate is dumb as hell, and it really angers me to no end and frustrates me because I see this every single day. I see a new clip of Joe Biden showcasing his lack of coherency and his very, very clear dementia. And I see it on a daily basis, and I'm like, why are you voting for this guy? I do not respect you as an electorate. If you are voting for this guy, I have no respect for you, and I really don't want to affiliate myself with you, to be quite frank with you. How on earth could you vote for someone who's an Alzheimer's patient? Are you serious right now? So Joe's absolutely right, and his sort of bewilderment, I think, is a really good observation, and one that I certainly share and agree with and express every time I do a video, which is almost every day now, about Joe Biden's dementia and a new situation where he presents himself as having dementia. And so it's unfortunate because it just seems the Dem elector is just dumb as rocks. But what I also want to talk about, this is the main thing I want to focus on. So today what's going on in the Wisconsin primary, the Wisconsin Supreme Court, I guess, overturned the push that we're going to close down the primary today. It's being held today. And then the U.S. Supreme Court also, like the actual United States tip-top Supreme Court, actually voted in favor of having the primary today, overturning federal court rulings that had put it as it will be instated. So I guess the Wisconsin State Supreme Court said we're going to hold it today, but then federal courts were like, no, we're not going to hold it today. And then the federal Supreme Court, the top court of the land, said, no, you're going to hold it today, which is the insanity of that. During a pandemic is going on, you're telling people to go out and vote. You are disgusting, and those lives are on your hands. They really are. There's no other way to put that. But another point I want to make, and by the way, Dan Crenshaw is BSing when he's trying to cape for Trump on the timeline. Dude, regular normal people knew for weeks before Trump was acknowledging how serious this was. Now, in the early throes of this, it was, people didn't know. Yes, that's true. But it took so long. Even to this day, there's a bunch of states that don't have shelter-in-place orders. In Georgia, I believe it was Georgia, they just reopened some beaches. So to pretend like there's not Republican governors who are doing this kind of stuff still to this day is embarrassing, and that they didn't do this before is embarrassing. But Dan Crenshaw is going to, he's going to do that for the Republican Party. Obviously, he's a hack. But it is true that Joe Biden is a hack, and the Democrats, this is a reason why people don't take the Democrats seriously, and then when the Democrats lose, they're all so surprised. You are serial hypocrites, and that's simply it, okay? So all the Democrats there who are, oh my gosh, they're holding an election today. Meanwhile, Joe Biden was just endorsing having the election. He said, oh, well, having a convention of 10 to 20,000 people in one place is different than having sanitization at polls and spacing. He was saying he wanted it to happen today, okay? And he said that. And also, I want to say this about the previous elections. The March 10th primaries that happened. Dude, the pandemic was going on there. We knew how serious this was, okay? Not the March 10th primaries. The primaries after that, actually. It wasn't even the March 10th ones. These ones were later than that. I think it was 17th or something like that. I forgot the exact date. It was the day where Florida, Illinois, and Arizona were held. Ohio pushed theirs back. But the Democrats are serial hypocrites. And so when you say one thing, but then say another in order to basically try to KO Bernie and give it to Biden, that's why nobody takes you seriously. That's why independents don't end up voting for your general election candidate. That's why you always lose general elections. And that's why nobody respects the Democratic Party or its electorate or its politicians. All of these people coming out right now, the Joe Biden campaign was literally saying that it was all good to go out and vote. That was the 17th primaries or whatever day it was. I think it was 17th. Simone Sanders coming out saying, oh, CDC says it's fine to go out and vote. These are serial hypocrites and nobody should respect them. Just imagine the sort of reaction someone would give you in trying to explain how the Democrats are better than Republicans at this point. They're literally the ones, oh yeah, Republicans don't listen to science on climate change, which they're right, they don't. Republicans are morons, but they're the ones who are not listening to the CDC or any science right now when they're saying, yeah, go out and vote, dude. Joe Biden's campaign's like, yeah, sure, dude, there's plenty of soap. You're all good, and there's distance. And it's like, dude, there's nursing homes filled with people in Chicago. And it's like, dude, this is unacceptable. And so I share Joe Rogan's frustration at all this because it's like, why are you doing it's almost like someone's like punching themselves in the face. And you're like, why are you doing that to yourself? What is wrong with you? So I don't respect the Democratic electorate. I'm not voting for Joe Biden. The reaction I would expect from someone if I were to be like, oh yeah, you should vote for Joe Biden, is for them to literally laugh in my face. Like, oh yeah, you want me to vote for an Alzheimer's patient who's a Republican? Let's be real, dude. Joe Biden is a Republican, okay? He's literally done fundraisers for anti-ACA Republicans, okay? So, he even said he would have a Republican as vice president. So I share Joe Rogan's frustration. And, I think that his sentiments are very real. And the most important thing is, this is more than just about Joe Rogan. This is really about so many other things. The electorate of the Democratic Party, but, most importantly probably is that Joe Rogan is a representation of so many people, all right, and their beliefs. Okay, that's what it is. There's so many Joe Rogans out there, and the Joe Rogans out there are the ones who are deciding the elections because they're the swing voters. And so if you ain't got the swing voters, you're going to lose. And so, I see Biden getting smacked up by Trump. I really do. I don't see how Biden manages to win at all. I really don't understand it. But totally share Joe Rogan's frustrations here.